In this video tutorial, I'm going to be covering the functionality that we find in the mover palette on the Fusion toolbar. When we have the Fusion toolbar mover palette selected, we are presented with this window pane. Let's start at the top. We are presented with four icons, and the first of these are two clocks indicating clockwise and counterclockwise, and this sets our planning direction. By default, we have the Fusion plan drawn in a clockwise direction, which means that when we add walls or units, we need to plan within that particular direction. We can see how this works by adding a wall into this area where we have a wall missing. Currently we are meant to draw within a clockwise direction, so if I try to draw a wall in a counterclockwise, I can just click from there to there. The wall adds, but we see that our dimension line falls with the inside of the room, and if we add a particular unit by dragging it in, you'll see that it wants to snap on the outside. And the reason for that is because I have drawn this wall from left to right in a counterclockwise way. Let's delete that and re-add the wall in the clockwise direction as we meant to by default. And now when adding that unit to the design, we see that it snaps in the correct way. Also, we'll know that the direction we're planning on is clockwise or counterclockwise by the direction of our cursor. So if I change to counterclockwise, we see the cursor flips its orientation. The next button is the relative mover. By default, we have the absolute move mode set, and with the absolute move mode, it means that the object selected in the room will move either in a north, east, south or west direction depending on the moving direction arrow we select. So if we wish to move this unit in a northerly direction on the plan, we just select up, type in the dimension, and the unit moves on that vertical plane. Let's undo that. If we wish to move the unit either left or right on the wall, we need to select the relative mover button, and we'll see that the moving arrows change, and what this will allow us to do is to move the unit relative to the wall it's situated on. So if we want to move this unit to the left hand side, we just hover over the arrows until we see the option that we wish, move selected items left, click on it and press enter, and we'll see that we can move an object relative to the wall that it's positioned on. This also helps in the perspective view. So if I change our view to perspective, and let's just adjust our view here, go back to the mover palette, we can move a unit either left or right, back or forward quite easily by having the relative move mode selected. So just click on the right side, type in the dimension of how far right we want to move it, and we see that the unit has now moved 250 millimeters to the right. Going back to plan view, these other two arrow buttons either push an object up or down on the screen. That means that it's moving up towards the ceiling or down towards the floor. We can see this better in perspective again. So let's click on up, and it's telling me that I have 1630 millimeters from the top of the unit to the underside of the ceiling, and if I press enter, we see how our unit moves towards the ceiling. Once again, we can push the unit down and it goes towards the floor. The next section, the rotate section, allows us to rotate a unit by either the X, Y or Z axes. The X, Y and Z axes, where we can find out what that is related to. Essentially the X is the length of the unit, the Y is the depth of the unit, and the Z would be the height of the unit. So if I select this unit and wish to rotate it by 45 degrees, I want to rotate it around the Z axis. So we need to click on rotate about Z axis, and we have three different options: rotate around origin, rotate about cursor, and free rotation. Selecting the rotate about origin, that will essentially take a look at the start point of the unit, which would be the back left corner. We type in the angle 45, and we see how the unit flips by 45 degrees. If we want to have more control of where we are rotating about, let's say for instance the center point of the unit, we can right click and position our cursor at the center point, choose the rotate about Z axis, change rotate about cursor, and this will be our new pivot point. So if we type in 45 degrees now, we see how the unit rotates around this position where the cursor is situated. The free rotation object really, I can only find where it works with the right click menu. When we right click above a unit, we select free rotation, current selection, and this will allow us to rotate that we wish to have the unit displayed. Let's snap this unit back onto this wall and take a look at the position options. What the position option information gives us is where an object is currently positioned in a room relative to its start point. The currently selected floor one door unit is 3000 millimeters across on the x-axis, which is from left to right. It is 1.238.68 millimeters from the Y, and that's looking at the start points and origin points of the room, which is this section over here, and it is 0 off the Z axis, which would be the floor. So we can change various different information within these position windows, and you'll see how the unit has adjusted its position. So it is exactly 1.5 meters from this wall, and we can then, if we move to elevation view, just select this wall over here, go back to the mover palette, and in the Z field type in 150. We see how the unit moves 150 millimeters above. The orientation of it allows us to set the angle. So right now this is 90 degrees, flip 90 degrees from the start point. So if I type 35 degrees, we see how the unit adjusts its orientation, change it back to 90, or maybe make it 125, and it rotates various directions. If we set that to 0, it's going to be aligned to our Z axis. So let's change that back to 90 and move on to our next section, which is dimensions. The dimension option works the same as on the information palette. We can adjust the unit's dimension within this window as well, be the length, depth and height of the unit. Fairly straightforward. The last section of the mover palette is the maintain wall joins, and where maintain wall joins is affected is anywhere a wall joins at a corner. If I select this wall and move this wall with the absolute value 1 meter to the right, what we'll notice is that any two walls that are joined will be moved with that wall. If we deselect the maintain wall joins and now move this wall over 1 meter again, we see that it detaches itself from its two walls and moves independently.